Turns out it's not enough to stage peace signings. More than 500,000 displaced as fighting rages along the border between Thailand and Cambodia. A resurgence of July's 5-day conflict that Donald Trump counts as one of those 8 wars in 8 months that he's ended. We'll ask why the return to fighting and examine the root cause of a dispute that's more than a century old and seems to require more than a stroke of a pen to settle. First, who to broker a cessation of hostilities now? This as the old guard on both sides enjoy free rein. Cambodia's Hun Sen, officially no longer head of government, but whose shadow looms large, and Thai generals who have a habit of taking the lead in times of crisis. As for the Prime Minister, he's a little bit otherwise engaged this Thursday. Anutin Charnvirakul, who's paid a late-night visit to the king, followed by his strongest hint yet that he'll soon move up elections that were scheduled for March. We'll ask why and where it all leads. Today in the France 24 debate, why the return of fighting between Cambodia and Thailand. With us from Bangkok, Sunay Phasuk, advisor for the Asia division of Human Rights Watch. Thank you so much for joining us. David Camroux is a senior research and adjunct professor at the French Political Science Institute, Sciences Po. Good to see you. Her books include Cambodia's Second Kingdom. Astrid Norén-Nielsen, senior lecturer at the Center for East and Southeast Asia Studies at Sweden's Lund University. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
And from Washington, Japhet Quitson, associate fellow at the Southeast Asia program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
You can always listen to the France 24 debate. That's right, listen wherever podcasts are streamed. That's a reminder. The death toll climbing to 24, more than 600,000 displaced, both sides employing heavy weaponry on day 4 of fighting. Solange Mougin has more.
Seeking shelter in an open field. In Cambodia, like in Thailand, civilians are fleeing. On foot, on tractors, motorcycles and flatbeds. 500,000 people have been displaced by the return of clashes along the Thai-Cambodian border. These Cambodian families will be sleeping under tarps, worrying of home and how their livestock and harvests are faring.
I was too scared. The bomb explosions were so loud, so I didn't bring much with me. I only brought 5 chickens, 2 black ducks, 2 puppies, and small belongings.
I am worried about my rice, what I already had harvested and left at the rice fields. I haven't brought it in yet. And if I cannot bring it home, the next year we'll have no rice to eat.
For some families, the calculations have already begun of what's left to eat and if they must abandon their livelihoods.
We brought some things to eat for a short period of time only. But if this fighting drags on, we run out of food for my family. The last option is to abandon the cattle and have my adult children come here for survival.
Across the border in Thailand, civilians have also fled, be it to school gymnasiums, makeshift shelters, or the local concrete bomb tunnels.
We've been through this kind of situation many times. We just have to endure it. Our work and our lives are here.
The shelling gets nearer and nearer, and I keep wondering, will it hit us? We're only a few meters away from the border.
While the competing territorial claims between Thailand and Cambodia is an over-century-old dispute, the conflict has become deadly again for civilians and for soldiers on both sides. And now hundreds of thousands wait in hope that calm and peace will return again soon.
Astrid Norén-Nielsen, you were in the area 2 weeks ago, you said.
That's right, yeah.
Where were you exactly?
I was in Koh Kong province by the sea, so the southernmost province.
And yes. Did you feel that there was a spike in tension in the air?
It was coming. It was happening again. So we had the real fighting in July, as you said. Then we had a ceasefire. Then by 26th of October, we had a joint declaration, actually, and Trump, he called it a sort of peace deal, something like that. But that broke down very quickly.
Yeah, that was what was signed in Kuala Lumpur.
That was signed in Kuala Lumpur. And that was a very comprehensive agreement. By the 10th of November, that was abandoned already by Thailand after a Thai soldier was hurt by a landmine, and Thailand accused Cambodia of having planted that landmine. Cambodia said that was an old landmine. And then Thailand already walked away from the peace agreement. So since then, it has been evident that there was more to follow. It was already evident, I'd say, in informed circles by the time of the signing of the peace deal or the joint declaration. There was never any real hope, in a way, that this would be the end to the conflict. So by the time I was there 2 weeks ago, yes, it was certain that things were heading this way, but it really, I think, happened quite quickly.
Wait, so explain for our viewers here. They signed this deal, but you already can feel it's never going to work. Why?
So I've been following this quite closely from the Cambodian side, and I can say that from the Cambodian government's perspective, there was not much hope that the Thai side would actually adhere to this peace deal. And I think that people who watched the press conference of the peace deal could sense the difference in attitude taken by the Cambodian Prime Minister and the Thai Prime Minister at the time. So the Cambodian side being extremely enthusiastic about the deal, and the Thai side being much more reserved.
Why? Why is that?
And so this is an indication, one of many indications, that this conflict is driven by Thailand, and it emerges from Thai domestic politics, a Thai domestic political crisis, political instability. And if there's one point I can make tonight, I think that's the one that I want to say, that we need to understand that the conflict at this moment in time is fundamentally different from what it used to be. It's rooted in this maybe a century-old cartographic conflict about the drawing of the border, but there's something entirely different to what's happening this time around, which makes the conflict more dangerous at this point of time.
So you're saying that we're going to talk later about the domestic politics in Thailand, but you're saying this is kind of a needed rally round the flag moment? Is that what this is about?
Right, and I think it's much more sort of unilaterally driven by Thailand this time, which means that it's more difficult to rein them in. And I think this is a misunderstanding that people in international media tend to see this as a more symmetrical conflict when actually it is not.
Sunay Phasuk, tell us a little bit about what the perception is, A, for the who's to blame, obviously, but B, where you are in Bangkok, as to why it's heating up now and why that deal signed in Kuala Lumpur was always on shaky ground.
Well, yes, talking about political motives behind the failure of peace deal is insufficient, in my opinion. We need to look into the fact that the peace deal itself is structurally flawed, for the fact that it lacks mechanism to ensure that both sides, Thailand and Cambodia, adhere to the ceasefire agreement, including conditions regarding clearing of landmine, banning the use of landmine, cessation of hostilities in all forms, including what Thailand considers encroachment of its territory by Cambodian troops when they cross into planting landmine, leading to new landmine injuries. These issues have been raised by Thailand, which the pen holder for the peace deal, Malaysia and the US, failed to respond. So it appears that, I'm sitting in Bangkok, the mood on the ground among the people, political leadership and military are all in one voice that the peace deal is not enough to give any assurances to Thailand anymore about its safety from what Thailand considers to be provocative and aggressive behavior of Cambodia. Therefore, they see that and they claim that now publicly and in writing in the submission to the UN Secretary General that actions taken by Thailand is last resort. This military operation is self-defense in accordance to Chapter 51 of the UN Charter. And they are trying to justify that. So that is the position of Thailand. So we need to look into kind of, two sides of the coin. Political motives, yes, are there on both sides, Thailand and Cambodia. But we need to look into what is wrong with the ceasefire agreement, with the peace deal that cannot maintain peace. What is wrong with that process?
Let me ask you about this, Sunay Phasuk.
The mechanism is faulty.
Sunay Phasuk, a framework for things that you mentioned, such as getting rid of landmines. Is that something hard to do or easy to do?
It should have been very easy and straightforward. Landmines have been plotted, like which parts of the border have been planted with landmines. And official requests have been made from the Thai side as part of the peace deal to Cambodia to help identify minefields and help clearing landmines, which Thailand said publicly that it received no cooperation from Cambodia. And that is not just the end of it. Apart from lack of cooperation, there are evidence showing that new landmines have been laid further. So Thailand started to clear landmine according to the peace deal, but then it found that new landmine has been added to the clear area already, and evidence that Thai soldiers were injured by those landmines. And more recently, a Chinese national who crossed from Cambodia into Thailand stepped onto those mines and lost his leg too. So there are new injuries adding to the toll after the signing of ceasefire, showing the violations of one of the core agreement in the ceasefire deal, that is clearing of landmines, stop using landmine.
All right, and we know that right now there have only been, according to the Reuters news agency, negotiations to open up the Klong Luek crossing and allow Thai workers in the Cambodian city of Phoi Phet to return home. Broader negotiations for a ceasefire at a standstill. The Thai Prime Minister, Anutin Charnvirakul, repeating what he'd said Tuesday, his nation will fight until sovereignty and security are assured. He's added another spanner in the works, you might say, or not, Sunay Phasuk, with this late night visit to the king and announcing there are early elections happening. Does this have nothing to do with what we're talking about or everything to do with it?
It has a lot to do with the trajectory of situation, which will be worsening, in my opinion. It's looked like that. Now it comes to political motives. Prime Minister Anutin has suffered a lot of setback for his mismanagement of the country, natural disaster, addressing economic situation. So riding on top of military nationalism is a way to reboot his popularity. And now the card played by the ruling party of Prime Minister Anutin is saying that Thailand is defending its sovereignty from Cambodia aggression. Cambodia is the side to blame for not following through with the ceasefire agreement, and international community has let down Thailand by leaving Thailand alone to take the matter in its own hand. That is the message that Prime Minister Anutin is communicating to Thai people. And I'm sitting now very late in Bangkok because the announcement from Prime Minister Anutin that he already tendered parliament dissolution request, and it should be announced tomorrow morning Bangkok time, and with that the government will become caretaker, which can claim that because of border situation, Thailand cannot, by law, Thailand is required to hold an election in every province of the country at the same time. But as long as the conflict is still going on clearly along the border, there cannot be an election. The government will remain in power without check and balances from the parliament. So this is a government without accountability being put in place. And there seems to be already kind of, authorization of blank check to the military to do as the military sees fit with Cambodia. And the logic, the rationale now used by the Thai military is to remove capability of Cambodia to be the threat to Thailand. And that is an open-ended scenario. What does Thai military mean by removing capability of Cambodia, military capability of Cambodia? How far will Thailand go? And will Thailand need to listen to any attempts to mediate this conflict? Thailand already basically, reject offer by Malaysia one of the sponsor of the ceasefire agreement. President Trump might be calling Thailand soon, but by the time President Trump called Prime Minister Anutin said, hey, by the way, I'm only caretaker prime minister. I don't have full power to decide. The matter is now rather imminent threat from Cambodia. Why don't the U.S. help Thailand pressure Cambodia? That might be the way that Prime Minister Anutin respond to President Trump and buy some time to prolong the confrontation, to prolong military operation. That's how I see it.
So Prime Minister Anutin, who just to be clear, has not formally said yet, as you were just stating, that he's tendering the resignation of his government. He simply put it on social media that he's giving the power back to the people. There you heard Sunay Phasuk expecting that formal announcement to come in the morning. And yeah, the President of the United States, 24 hours makes a difference. These are remarks he made Wednesday.
Yes, President Trump said,
I think I can get them to stop fighting. Who else can do that? Think of it. Settled 8 wars. Every once in a while, one will flame up again and have to put out that little flame. We have to put it out, but we're going to put it out again.
Enter Washington, Japhet Quitzon. You just heard Sunay Phasuk say if Donald Trump, we don't know if that phone call is happening this Thursday or not, but if Donald Trump's dealing with a caretaker prime minister, it's going to make it even more difficult.
It definitely would make it more difficult. And Anutin has already mentioned previously that he's not necessarily interested in the interventions of other parties into what he considers a bilateral issue between Cambodia and Thailand. While he respected, he said, the intentions of other countries to make a difference toward the peace, he said that it really would be up to these two countries to settle it. Any phone call from President Trump, like mentioned previously, could certainly help in terms of greasing the wheels in back-channel negotiations, in encouraging Cambodia to back off, encouraging Cambodia to consider other opportunities with creating a peace deal that's more amenable to Thailand. But of course, with such inflamed nationalism on both sides, neither of them will be willing to budge, right? There will be significant tensions both domestically, internally in both of these governments as they figure out what path to go through next. Anutin requested the dissolution of parliament because he was threatened by the People's Party's no confidence motion that could have effectively made him even more of a sitting duck than he might have been as a caretaker government in announcing snap elections. And on the other side, with the Hun family, Hun Manet and Hun Sen are definitely trying to boost their legitimacy, make themselves protectors of the Cambodian people in the face of what Hun Sen called Thai invaders. Definitely lots of stakes here.
And it's a good time to be a hawk, is what you're saying.
Not necessarily. For the Thai example, for instance, certainly the military-backed parties that are on the Anutin Bumchai Thai coalition will certainly be calling for stronger action against Cambodian aggression from their perspective. I think it was the main objective from the Thai armed forces to cripple the Cambodian army's ability from creating such a situation ever again, calling for specific strikes along the border region. I think there were some 11 points mentioned where the Thai military stated it would want to capture, all in an attempt to try and maintain that peace and, of course, to try and put to rest a very sensitive border issue that's, as you mentioned, over a century old.
Very briefly, Astrid.
Yeah, can I jump in since it's called the debate? I thought I'd take the word.
Yeah.
I must say I absolutely disagree with this interpretation that the Hun family is trying to boost their legitimacy with what's going on now. I mean, we've seen in the past there was a dynamic that proud over Prewihe Temple in 2008. It was something that could boost the legitimacy of the CPP, the ruling party. They made a fantastic election that year, but everything has changed since. So since 2017, the incumbent party has virtually no contenders. There's no real opposition. We had a generational transition of power that went extremely well, despite some nervousness. And the sort of fundamental claim to legitimacy of the government at this moment in time is having secured peace. So if you go to Cambodia, you will see absolutely everywhere it says, "Thank you, peace," and that really means thank you, former Prime Minister Hun Sen, for securing peace.
But
this is not in the interest.
I would partly disagree with Astrid on this.
Go ahead, David Cameron.
I'm not quite sure it's a question of legitimacy. I agree with you that the moment both Hun Sen and his son Hun Manet, the Prime Minister, they must show that they're not weak. I mean, they've got to show that they're going to stand up to the ties, and that makes a lot of sense. But a number of observers point to the fact that the Cambodian government is trying to draw attention away from the scam centres. The scam centres, I think they have worth, last year, $12 billion US.
We were talking about them 24 hours ago in this very studio, how these scam centres are in Southeast Asia are a huge problem.
And prior to this situation rising again, the Thais had cracked down on the Prince Group, which is one of the major groups in Cambodia, close to a number of senators, close to the Cambodian government. So, the scam centres represent, according to observers, about a quarter of the GDP of Cambodia. And the Chinese are not terribly happy about these scam centres because they involve Chinese gangsters. But one interpretation is that this is an attempt to also, that there's a way of drawing attention away from dealing with these scam centres. And it's significant that the Thais, when they bombed a couple of casinos, which they claim were being used as command and control centres. But obviously there was another motive behind that.
All right, back in June, because let's go over the timeline here. Back in June, border tensions were already spiking. Then there was this leaked phone call between Hun Sen and the then Prime Minister of Thailand, Phayatong Shinawat, the daughter of jailed telecoms tycoon Thaksin Shinawat. Her compatriots were shocked with a very deferential tone to the Cambodian strongman and her disparaging remarks about her own military. The transcript included such choice bits as her saying, "I don't want Uncle to listen to those on the opposite side," Uncle being Hun Sen, because if you listen to them, like the commander of the 2nd Army region, they're all from the opposite side. So again, we go over the timeline of all of this, right? There was already tensions in the spring. This leaked phone call, Hun Sen, and a lot of people saying that the leak came from the Cambodian side. They brought down the Shinawat government. And then in July, it all heats up. So was there not a bit of provocation on the part of Phnom Penh in all of this?
I mean, there is a dizzying variant of opinions on the matter. So many speculations. I've had so many versions of what happened in Phnom Penh, and I think there's only a handful of persons that could actually give you an accurate answer on that. But it's, in some government circles, people also think that the original leak, because there were 2 leaks, there was first the leak and then then Hun Sen actually made the entire conversation public. So there are 2 layers to this. So who the first layer was, we don't actually know. But on the issue of the scam centers, so this is obviously tied up with the question of the scam centers, a huge dimension to this conflict. I would say that the Cambodian side definitely does not use this conflict to get attention away from the scam centers, because it is quite the opposite, as you're saying. All the flare-up zones are near the scam centers. It's something that draws attention to the scam centers. And we also need to be clear that the Thai army is not trying to combat the scam centers. No. They're fighting over them. They're fighting over control of the illicit economy as well. So there's a new evil to combat. There are now 2 problems. There's a scam center issue, but that's not going to be solved by this border conflict. We now also have to deal with violence at the border, which obviously victimizes absolutely innocent people.
Sunay Phasuk, how much are these scam centers a factor?
Put it the other way around, kind of back to your previous question. Hun Sen seemed to have played very well, knowing Thai politics and his close friendship with all factions in Thai politics. He has a huge stock of photos, clips, video clip and audio clips of like what Thai political leadership did in Cambodia. And he released that to serve his political interests. He released the leaked phone call between him and former Prime Minister to discredit her. And important note to make about that is Hun Sen made it clear that former Prime Minister Pat Thong Tan will be removed in office within 3 months, and it happened exactly so. So he played that game with like leaking the conversation to unseat Thai Prime Minister. So that's one thing. And now he's trying to kind of, replay that again by releasing clips and photos of Prime Minister Anutin, what Prime Minister Anutin did in Cambodia, his close friendship with provincial governor of Cambodia along the border, which indicate in a way that this will discredit Anutin because, as we discussed, scam centers, many of them are located along the border. Why Prime Minister of Thailand are so close to provincial governor of Cambodia who control those border area? So that play this kind of scatters kind of questions among Thai people. So Anutin responded by shifting those questions into military confrontation, military operation to show that he is patriotic, he is nationalistic, and he is defending Thailand. So that is the dynamics being played now. Another point that I would like to add here is military nationalism is a potent capital in Thailand, especially in the lead up to a new election. So even among the self-proclaimed reformist party, like the opposition People's Party, is proposing the Thai military to go to the end and neutralize Cambodia military strength. So you don't have differentiation between left and right in Thai politics anymore. Everyone is now holding on to military operation, playing nationalistic card. So that is one thing. So scam center is now being downplayed from national political agenda, sadly. It should have been addressed as priority, but no more, because everyone is now playing their card on nationalism, on war with Cambodia. And with the imminent parliament dissolution, ongoing inquiry in the parliament about scam center, hearing that someone, political leadership, business leadership, law enforcement, and the military to testify about their failure to tackle scam centers cannot go on further because there will be no parliament by tomorrow.
There'll be no parliament, and instead we'll have campaign rhetoric in its place. David Camru, it doesn't sound, listening to Sunay Phasuk, that there's going to be any kind of a ceasefire soon, or is this all just a bit of bluster at this point?
Well, that's what we felt the last time, that it would end quickly. I think this time it's more worrying because the Thai military is going further into Cambodian territory. It's not simply punitive, bombing and then retaliating. The Thai military, to come back to a previous point, with the royal establishment, have achieved their aim, which was to end the Shinawatra dynasty in Thai politics, and that's been achieved. The government at the moment is a strange alliance between a hyper-royalist of Unut Tan, who was on television a couple of days ago, teary-eyed with one of the soldiers who'd been injured by these mines, saying he will be honoured. So we can see the kind of nationalist flame that's being certainly being not extinguished, on the contrary, warming up in Thailand. So how far can this go? I think it's more worrying the situation before. The ASEAN, the chairmanship of ASEAN, seems incapable of.
This is the regional body for Southeast Asia.
The regional body for the Southeast Asia. They seem to be maybe not washing their hands of the matter, but we know that if there was a peacekeeping force or some kind of force to delimit the border, the structures exist. There is a border commission. If we could agree on the scale of the maps we should use, if we put in the right kind of supporting structures with peacekeepers and with technical assistance, we could the problem of the border could be resolved. But that will not resolve the nationalism and the irredentist claims on both sides of the border.
Japhet Quaison, you agree? Because in the mix, when it comes to trying to resolve things right now, there's the United States, there's China, and there's Malaysia's Anwar Ibrahim. None of that's going to work if the rhetoric's heated.
That's correct. If the rhetoric remains the way it is, if both sides continue to play it up the way that they have in the last couple of weeks and days, we're not going to see an easy de-escalation soon, right? With the caretaker government that's about to take over, you're going to see even less interest from the Thai side to actually find a ceasefire until, of course, it meets all of its objectives. Clearly, Thailand vastly outnumbers Cambodia in terms of economic wealth and, most importantly, in this case, military heft, right? It's not necessarily a sustainable battle that Cambodia can keep on pushing for. And so eventually, it may be that Thailand will push Cambodia to cave, which is not necessarily a good look for ASEAN's peacemaking capability. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim was deeply invested in the peace process as well as ASEAN chair, but with the Philippines about to take over the chairmanship next year, it'll become their problem to bear. And the issues would remain very similar, right? You would still have a very deeply entrenched Thailand and Cambodia not necessarily willing to negotiate over something they both see as a matter of national survival.
Each side claiming the other one is the aggressor, as we've been talking. Over in Phnom Penh, accusations of Thailand targeting civilians, UNESCO, World Heritage sites as well, like the Preah Vihear Temple.
We noted that on December 10, 2025, this brutal act of aggression of the Thai military indiscriminately opened fire targeting civilian area, especially primary school and hospital, and further destroyed Tak Ra Bay and Preah Vihear Temple, the highly sacred cultural site of Cambodia and the World Cultural Heritage.
Yeah, this conflict is taking place, Astrid Nurud Nielsen, along a border where there are amazing cultural heritage sites of humanity, a Hindu temple dating back centuries in this case. These temples, are they being destroyed as we speak? Are they, or?
Yes, they are. There was the Tak Ra Bay that we just saw on the screen. It has been destroyed. I think it was yesterday. It's heartbreaking. We have Preah Vihear that was damaged, severely damaged during the fighting in July. And now, during the last days of hostilities, there are important conservation structures at Preah Vihear that have also been severely damaged. So this is, I mean, to go over a little bit the history of Preah Vihear Temple, it has been ruled, there is a ruling by the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, that it belongs to Cambodia. It's a ruling from 1962, yeah. And it was reiterated in 2013.
Yeah, even though they're on the border, it seems, on that map, they're actually on the Cambodian side of that border.
Yeah, it has been ruled as to be a Cambodian temple. So it's, I mean, it's simply inadmissible that this acts of aggression have taken place against these temples. It's deeply disturbing, deeply upsetting.
And these temples come from the Angkor Empire, and they're the signs of Cambodia's glory in the past, at a time in which the Siamese, the Thais, were considered as a bit of, second-rate hicks living next door.
Sunai Phasuk?
I just feel compelled to fix the fact. What was stated earlier was not entirely accurate. Yes, I'm deeply concerned about destruction of cultural sites, Preah Vihear, Tak Ra Bay, and Tam Mun Thom, for example. But we need to understand the context that those locations have been used for military purposes as military base. And there are evidence showing bunkers, showing soldiers from the Cambodia side hiding and firing from those locations, which is in clear violation of international law that cultural location cannot be used for military purposes. And then that is kind of, if we blame, we have to blame both sides, that, it's more like chicken and egg, because those locations have been used for military purposes. And when Thailand struck, Thailand claimed that they struck for military kind of justification to neutralize military threat without taking into account the fact that the threats come from cultural locations. So I think, to be fair, we need to blame both sides for
really
using cultural location for military purposes, which is seriously wrong. And it is very sad to see severe destruction to those locations.
Astrid, very brief.
Of course, I disagree. This is a breach of international law. It's a breach of the Hague Convention. And I mean, I think we're touching on something very important earlier. What is the end game here? And this is what we don't know this time. We don't actually know what is the end game. What is the Thai army after at this point in time? And we had the Thai commander cited in The Nation a few days ago, saying, yes, that Cambodia's military capacities should be taken down. But we don't know to what point. Is Thailand looking for regime change? How far is Thailand going? And now they're actually going geographically. They're going far into Cambodian territory.
To give you a couple of statistics, the Cambodian Armed Forces comprise about 124,000 people and has a budget of 1.3 billion. The Thai Armed Forces are 3 times larger, 360,000 troops, with a budget of 5.3 billion. The Thais have an air force, the Cambodians don't. So on the ground, the military calculation is certainly not in the Cambodians' favor. But then the Cambodians are defending
Does China then stay out of it? Because Cambodia and China are close. Does China stay out of it?
I think at some point China's got to intervene, because, say, on the scam centers, one of the reasons of the pressures on the scam centers is coming from China itself. So I think at some point China doesn't like to see this instability on its borders. Certainly Cambodia is perhaps closer to China than Thailand is, but Thailand tries to hedge between the US and China, and tries also to have a fairly healthy kind of relationship with China.
So back in June, there was another country that offered its services in helping. That country is France, to resolve this border dispute that we've been talking about. Here you see images of Emmanuel Macron with Hun Sen's son, the current prime minister. This is on the sidelines of the One Ocean summit that took place. Just want to ask, because France was the former colonial power, the reason this dispute is happening is because of an artificial border that was drawn. In your discussions, Astrid Nguyen-Nielsen, what would Cambodians, how do they feel about the French, and how would they feel about them brokering?
There's a very, very amicable, very, very warm relationship. I would say that sounds fake, but I really believe so. And I mean, the map that Cambodia is using, it's from the treaties of 1904 and 1907 that came from France, or in the annexes to these treaties. This is a map that has been deposited at the UN. It's also the map that was the basis of the memorandums of understanding with Thailand in 2000 and 2001, which are the important documents that we have. So that's why these maps actually matter. And I think that France needs to, it's a right to recognize this, because what would happen if in all former colonial, post-colonial situations, these maps would be questioned in this kind of way. But I think we also need to note that France has been very, very, very careful not